everyone. Welcome everyone to another episode of Pastor. Welcome to another episode of Pastor. We have a great broadcast lineup. We got two powerful, absolutely amazing young ladies that are getting a little feedback. We're trying to figure out where that feedback is coming from this morning. But we're gonna work through that. Yeah, definitely work through that. I hear a little feedback coming through. Let me figure out what that is real quickly. Here, ladies, bear with me for a second.
Sure.
What this feedback is. Let's see here. Go here. Give me 1 second here. We're gonna work this thing out because it's not gonna stop us. There we go. I think we better.
Amen.
I think we better. Good deal. Now, does anybody have the speaker in the background playing? Have it on speaker? If you have it on speaker, take it off speaker. No. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what that little feedback is. Like I said, we're not gonna let that stop. Hold us up or pause us in any kind of way. We're gonna keep this thing going. So let's go ahead and jump in. Like I said, and I pray that God, He's gonna put His hand on this thing, and it's gonna work out better. It's gonna work out. Ain't got to do anything. We just gotta keep doing and going where He have us to go. The enemy, he's trying to step in and trying to infiltrate this thing, but he have no power around here. He have no power
whatsoever.
So we already know what we walk in the victory. We walk in the victory. It belongs to us already. So that way you can sit your behind down. You have nothing to do here. You go ahead and play somewhere else because this ain't where you're gonna play it today. You have no play. So I'm gonna take this opportunity right now and let you young ladies. This is Pastor. We do this every Tuesday from 11. We do this every Tuesday from 11 until 12. We do it every Tuesday from 11 to 12. And I want to give this opportunity. This is the first time. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm a happy elephant lady, the porcupine proud. This is the first time I had two ladies on here. We've had the first week we had two gentlemen. The second week we had two gentlemen. This time we got the lady, and we're gonna get an opportunity. And we're going to talk to the young ladies. We're going to share. Tell everybody who you are and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Pastor Sharon. I am from Fort Myers, Florida. I now live in Orlando, Florida. And yes, and it's just a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, good to have you. Definitely a pleasure to have you. And tell everybody who you are and where you're calling from.
My name is Pastor Helen. I'm calling from Conyers, Georgia, which is right outside of Atlanta. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska originally via New York. So I've spent time in New York and then pastored in Omaha and Decatur, Georgia.
Good deal. And we are getting some kind of feedback, but like I said, again, we're going to work through this thing. Now, I want to get this thing started. My thing is this right here, and I'm going to say we're here while so y'all bear with me for a second, and I'm trying to get through this little background over here. But let me do this. Actually, let me do this right here. I think that's it. Ladies, can y'all hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Very well. Good deal. Good. And so this is what we're going to do. I want to jump in and get into the conversation. My thing is, I want throughout the conversation make sure everybody know who you ladies are. I'm not important. I'm just a fly on the wall, appreciating the opportunity to hear you ladies speak this morning. So I want to go first. Pastor Sharon, tell us what brought you into, and how did you get into the ministry?
Well, I was just, just like a regular person, just living life, just going through life, I was just living life. I was going through a lot and everything. And I just felt like I was missing something.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through a phase in my life and I just feel like, okay, I'm living, but I still feel like I'm missing something. Like, this is not it for me. Like, this is not it. Something is missing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was going through, I ran into this young lady, and she had introduced me to Jesus Christ. She asked me, have I accepted him in my life? And if I would like to. And from that moment, my life had changed. Things started getting better for me from that moment.
Amen.
Wow.
Yes.
Good deal. Good deal. And Pastor Helen, how did you come into the ministry?
Well, I was raised in an AME church, and pretty much was very active as a child. And when I got middle school age, somewhere between 12 and 14, I was a very headstrong kid. I always had a peculiar spiritual drive. I didn't see where people were really being changed in my church. The church was very politically active, very socially conscious. And every Sunday rather, they would say, who wants to be saved, come and join the church. And I would see all of the young people when we got to be a certain age, around 13, 14, around that age, and they would join the church. But I didn't see any change. And I thought, this is crazy. I'm not going up there because I didn't see what the point was. So I just decided I'm not going to church anymore. And at the age of 17, I left Omaha, Nebraska to go to New York and study theater. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an actress very much. And while I was in school, some horrendous things happened to me. Very, very bad things happened to me. And I had never dated or kissed a guy or any of those kind of things. And suddenly I was thrust into an environment in New York City that was quite fast and a lot of stuff happening. And, in that, I met a lady who was in theater too, but we also worked together. And she said that she was seeking to be saved. Well, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what seeking to be saved meant, And so she invited me to her church, which was in Harlem, 124th and 7th Avenue. And it was a great church, big church. It was called Refuge Temple. Anyway, I went. I saw people speaking in tongues and dancing around. That was totally new to me. And I didn't know if I wanted any part of that. I probably didn't. Well, I'm coming up to the Christmas season. And the Christmas season is always very important to me because I got saved December 14th, 1972. So it's been a long time. And what happened was she invited me to come to church, and she invited me to come to her prayer service. She said the young people, because I was 19 then, she said the young people had a prayer service. And would I like to go? Well, before that, let me back up. Before that, I was living alone, working in Queens. And one Saturday night, I started choking in my sleep. And, I don't know if you've ever been like deep in sleep and something is troubling you and you kind of are in between awake and asleep. And that's how I was, but I kept choking. So finally I opened my eyes, and when I opened my eyes, I couldn't see. I couldn't see in the room because the room was filled with smoke. So I got out of my bed. I'm feeling for the door, my bedroom door. When I open the door, I fall back because I'm overcome by the smoke. So I run. It's a basement apartment. So I run outside and I'm coughing and hacking because the fumes and the smoke are poisoning me. And when I ran outside, I saw flames coming out my bedroom window. So I realized that had I stayed in that bed even 5 seconds more, I would be in those flames. I said, oh my God, have mercy. I started running up and down the street. I was barefoot, curlers in my hair, nightgown on. By this time, flames have engulfed the entire house. People are coming outside. It's cold. There's wet snow on the ground. somebody grabbed me, said she's hysterical, and she doesn't have any clothes on. So somebody grabbed me, put a pair of man's shoes on me and a man's jacket. Said, we got to take her somewhere. They said, do you have any relatives? I said, I have an uncle. I went to my uncle's house. He didn't know what happened. He thought I'd been raped or something. Anyway, cried and cried and cried and cried. But I'm ever the trooper, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's Sunday morning. So I'm still going to go to work because I'm a trooper. So I get up to go to work. I work in Manhattan. I'm at 34th and Herald Square. And I fall down an entire flight of subway stairs. I don't know if you've been in the subway, but subway stairs are stone and they're hard. Mm-hmm. Well, I fell down an entire flight of stairs, tumbling all the way down, and there I lay in a ball at the end of the stairs. Nobody stopped. Nobody stopped. Nobody said, is that woman all right? Nobody. They just kept going. They just kept going. And I laid there in that ball and I said, Lord, I just lost everything in the fire because I literally escaped with my life the day before. Now I'm in a ball at the bottom of the subway stairs and I pick myself up. I'm all bruised, but I'm going to still keep going. So I go to work. I meet the lady that had been talking to me about the Lord. She said, come to the all-night prayer service with me. This was on a Monday. She said, all-night prayers on Friday. I figured I'd appease God because I almost died twice. I almost died in the fire. I almost died falling down the stairs. I need to do something. Mm-hmm. So I go to church that Friday night. I don't know how to pray. All I'd ever been taught was the Lord's Prayer. Mm-hmm. So I get down on my knees when everybody's praying. And I said the Lord's Prayer. And when I got to the end of it, I started again. And that's all I kept doing. And finally, as I was praying, unbeknownst to me, I was the only one left in the room praying. Everybody else had stopped. And suddenly I started saying, I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. As I kept saying, I love you, Jesus. And suddenly, out of nowhere, my mouth started speaking in another language. I didn't know what it was, but I knew God. I knew God had done something in my life. I jumped up. Everybody had stopped praying and they were looking at me. And the youth pastor said, what happened to you, young lady? I said, Jesus. Jesus, come into my life. And I remember when I left the all-night prayer, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. And the snow had just fallen. And if you know New York at all, you know snow doesn't stay clean too long in New York. Mm-hmm. When it first falls, it's like a blanket from heaven. And it was so beautiful. And I said, Lord, I finally know you. Mm-hmm. And if I step off the curb right now, I'm going to heaven. Mm-hmm. Well, that began my journey. And 5 years later, 1977, the Lord kept putting a burden. Well, from the time I got saved, I couldn't shut up. You know what that's like, Pastor Sharon?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You can't shut up. I just kept telling people about Jesus everywhere.
That's right.
When I told my boyfriend about it, I told the people at work about it. I would stand on the street corners and talk about it. And finally, 5 years later, after I kept doing all of this, God kept saying, every time we had testimony service, I'd pop up and I kept on talking and I was just excited. And finally, in 1977, the Lord said, I'm calling you to preach. Well, I was in an organization that didn't believe in women pastors. And I didn't want to be labeled a heretic, so I kept fighting it. Mm-hmm. And one day I'm walking down the street on my way to church in Queens, New York, and I started to cry because the burden to preach and the burden to obey God, was so heavy on me that before I knew it, I had walked past my church. So I looked up And I saw this church. I said, I'm just going to go in here today, this Sunday morning. I said, I'm just going to go in here. And when I entered the church, the pastor came over to greet me and she said, "Are you a preacher?" I said, "What?" She said, "Are you a preacher? Because the Lord told me he was sending a female preacher by this morning." I
Mm.
said, "I am." And I preached my first sermon that morning from that church from Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd."
Mm. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Listen, this is what we're gonna do, ladies, because I want to make sure that we have absolute perfection on this. We're gonna unorthodox. I know it is. We're gonna stop the broadcast. I'm gonna send you all another link. We're gonna do this. We're gonna start over at the beginning because I can see where this thing is going. It's gonna be absolutely amazing, and I want to make sure that everybody appreciate what you all are going to bring forward today and what how God is going to use y'all in a mighty way. So is that okay with you all?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna send. We're gonna end this part of the broadcast. We're gonna shut it down. I'm gonna send y'all another link, and we're gonna start over from the very beginning, and let God have His way. How about that?
Amen.